Hey hon, I'm Chloe and this is the Pike Foldover or hip hold tutorial. My mission here is to share my passion for pole dancing and make pole dancing easy to learn and accessible. This is the 10th video of the intermediate pole trick tutorial series. In order to maximize your training out of all the videos, I highly recommend you to start from the very first video of this playlist, as the tricks will be a progression of the video before. The pike is a super exciting no-handed trick to learn. The prerequisite for this one is an outside leg hang and a straddle, so ensure that you've watched those tutorials before you try this one. This video is mirrored for your ease of learning. I'll have a red wristband on my right wrist and my right ankle to indicate the right side of my body if you do get confused of the directions. This trick tutorial is created for you for information and educational purposes only, and for you to enjoy learning pole dancing from the comfort of your own home. Please participate at your own risk and do not work beyond your capability, and seek help or spotting when necessary. For any health concerns, please make sure you seek professional medical advice. Please make sure you warm up your body before you start this video. I have a warm-up playlist depending on the level, so make sure you try that warm-up before you do the tricks. If you enjoy this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up so that I know to create more of these kinds of videos, and consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't yet, so that you are notified every single time I upload a video. If you're looking to further your pole journey and combining tricks and dance together, then consider subscribing to my online learning platform, Pole Art Vault, where you'll be learning an entire routine with trick combos and dance together. For further information, you can find the link in the description. Alrighty, without further ado, let's get into the pike tutorial. Alrighty, now let's get into our conditioning. Now for our conditioning today, just to preface this, we are going to be going through conditioning through the legs and your arms. That's going to be helpful for this move. Now if you are looking for specific conditioning for your inverts or your outside leg hangs, please make sure you watch those videos before you do this conditioning exercise. So let's start off with our first one, which is going to help with our legs in the pike position, which is going to be our double leg lifts. So let's come down onto the floor. Now we're going to start off with the easier variation, whereby grabbing the pole with our inside hand and lifting both of your legs up. Now, this is our easiest variation just because this is going to help you grab the pole, so that's going to help you maintain that balance. It's also going to allow you to lean slightly backwards, which is the easier one. The hardest one is leaning forward. So remember to keep this in mind. The more forward you go, the harder it is. The more lean back you are, the easier it is. So try finding your best medium where you feel a good challenge, but not to the point where you're about to just gas out before we start doing the move. So you're gonna grab the pole with your inside hand just around shoulder height, or a little bit higher if that helps. Outside hand comes down onto the floor. I'm just gonna come into this L sit so that I can challenge myself. I'm gonna keep my posture upright. Think about squeezing through your quads. Make sure that you keep your knees nice and straight and your ankles together. Think about squeezing through your thighs and lifting both of your legs up at the same time. Now, if you are finding this tricky, again, make sure that you're leaning slightly backwards. Try not to slouch your back too much. You want to keep your posture upright as much as possible at your best ability, and lifting both of your legs. Try to really engage through your core as you lift as well. So I'm really tucking that tailbone in. Squeeze your quads, squeeze your core, and then lift. Let's do 8 of these. 7, 6, to make it harder, lean forward. 5, 4, or lean back if you need to. 3, and 2. Make sure you're squeezing your quads. Last one. Well done. Now, if you found that easy, then instead of grabbing the pole, you can get both of your hands onto the floor as well, and then lift both of your legs. That's also going to be quite effective. So choose your own adventure on whatever works for you. Now, let's move on into our next one, which is going to be our adductor squeezes. So this is going to be very similar to our straight leg lay back tutorial that we've done. Remember, if you haven't watched that one before, I highly recommend you to watch this one before, because the conditioning exercises are going to help you with the fold over too. Now, I'm going to cross my legs, whichever leg on top, we're going to do both sides. And then you're going to lift both of your legs up, and then we're just going to scissor those legs. Now, when you're scissoring the legs, just make sure that you really feel a squeeze through your inner thighs. With the hip hold or the fold over, you want to make sure that you're really working through your inner thighs and also the leg squeeze as well, and the tension. So let's do 10 crosses. Make sure that you really feel a good squeeze through your legs. All right, lean back if you need to, grab the pole, and 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Well done. Now there's your second conditioning done, all the conditioning for legs done. Now let's move on into our last one, which is going to help with our armpit that we're about to start using, or I should say the back of the shoulder. Now, you're going to stand right next to the pole with your inside shoulder on the pole. You're going to flare your hands all the way to the side and make sure that you turn your palm backwards. So if you've got a face of a watch, the face of the watch is facing forward, palms facing back. Now from here, I'm going to think about pulling both of my hands back, and I'm going to squeeze the inside armpit onto the pole, and then I'm going to come back to neutral. Squeeze, and then come back to neutral. Now when you're doing these, try not to flare your chest too much. If you can, think about really engaging through your core, and try not to arch your back too much. You want to think more so using the shoulders. So you can see that I'm not arching, hunching. I'm keeping my posture upright, and all I'm doing is pulling my hand backwards. Now, when you're pulling your hands back, your arms don't have to be completely parallel to the floor. I'm actually going at an angle. So think about a 45-degree angle down and back to the floor. So let's do 5 on each side. So you're going to stand right in front of the pole, back of the shoulder on the pole, both hands to the side, and then drop it slightly down. And squeeze. 4, 3, 2, and last one. Well done. Let's move on to the other side. So my inside leg or my left leg is in front of the pole, back of the shoulder is attached to the pole. And remember, when you're attaching the pole, it should be right where this shoulder joint is and where the crease is. All right, let's go. And 5, 4, try to keep your back flat. 3, engage through your core and squeeze your glutes. 2, and last one. Woo! Oh, I hope you really felt that through your shoulder, because I definitely did. Well done. That is all your conditioning done. Alrighty, now let's get into our pike, fold over, or hip hold. There's multiple different names to this. This is what it looks like. Alrighty, so let's break down our pike. Now, with our entrance into pike, there's 2 options for you. You can either do it from an outside leg hang, so straddle into an outside leg hang, or you can also do the outside leg hang from a aerial front hook or a side sit. And remember, we've covered this in the past, so if you haven't watched that one before, make sure that you watch those tutorials before you try this one, just because I'm not going to be breaking down the straddle and the outside leg hang today. Now, all your technique is there, and technique is super important when it comes to pole and learning all the moves, so that you've got your foundation very solid. So make sure that you've watched those. So we're starting in our invert into an outside leg hang. Once you come into your outside leg hang, you're going to bring your inside leg, so the free leg, towards you. So you're bending your leg in, and you're going to extend that inside leg, squeeze the pole with that inside leg. So if you remember when we were doing the conditioning, we thought about really bringing that leg in, squeezing through the thighs. Now once you got that security through your inner thigh and the back of the shoulder in your outside leg hang, then you're going to bring your outside leg that was hooked towards your face. And then once you feel secure, you're going to take that hand off, and then you're in your fold over. So let's try this together. We're coming into our invert, outside leg hang. Press your inside armpit onto the pole. You're going to bring your inside leg towards your chest. Use your opposite hand to pull that leg towards your face. Pull it across. If you feel like you don't have the security, you can also grab your hip here just to start off with. So think about squeezing your elbow in. You're going to slowly take your outside leg off, bend it in, then you're going to fully extend, squeeze the pole with both of your thighs. If you can, from there, you're going to take your hand off. Then if you can take your inside and off, go ahead as well. To come out, hook that outside leg back, drive that inside leg backwards, grab the pole in front of your cookie, straddle, and stepping down. Well done, that was amazing. Now let's move on into the other side, and on the other side I'm going to demonstrate a little bit of a harder variation, or what I would like to say the ultimate variation of your fold over. So we're gonna try the hook position, so aerial hook dropping down into the leg hang on the other side. So I'm gonna come into a climb, inside and on top, swing that leg back. I'm gonna slowly drive my legs down, slide that hand down, drop into an outside leg hang. Now from there, I'm going to bring my leg across without grabbing my inside leg. Think about pressing the pole in your thighs. Make sure that your legs are horizontal to the floor. I'm going to slowly take the other leg off into a fold over. And then I'm going to grab the pole back, then stepping down. Perfect. So there is a different, I guess, method of the fold over without grabbing the leg. Now, obviously, the second entry is much harder, and you might need a little bit of practice to get a little bit used to that entry without grabbing the leg. The one where you grab the leg, it's obviously easier because you've got that security and you're using your hand to almost force that pole into your thighs. So give both of the versions a go. You can obviously do the second version, but from an invert outside leg hang if you'd like. Try always experimenting with, I guess, different challenges of the entries and the exits as well. Well done. Alrighty, let's go through some tips and common mistakes. Now, our first common mistake is our positioning when we come into our invert into the outside leg hang. Now, the reason why this is very common is that a lot of people actually don't have a lot of security through that inside armpit grip. Now, the inside armpit grip is super, super crucial when we're going through the fold over, because all your grip points are essentially just your inner thighs, both inner thighs, mainly your inside leg thigh, and also the back of the arm. Now, when you're using the back of the arm, remember that if you don't have any grip on the parts that I've mentioned, always use grip aid. It's definitely not cheating when you use a grip aid. I know some people think it's like cheating to use grip aid, but I do not think so at all. You can see that I'm obviously wearing leggings today because it's quite cold in Sydney. So remember that always grip up your inner thighs. Obviously in the entry, because you are doing a leg hang, you want to make sure that the back of the knee is gripped up, your shelf is gripped up, and obviously the back of your shoulders as well. If I don't have any grip on the parts that I've mentioned, it's really hard for me to do any sort of pole. So make sure that you're gripped up. Now, when you're in your leg hang, please ensure that you're pushing your chest forward and you really press that inside armpit onto the pole. And remember, you always want to turn your palm in and press the pole with that little chicken wing arm so that you get all the grip that you need. So again, if you haven't watched my invert and outside leg hang tutorial, and if you're really struggling with the leg hangs, before you do this tutorial, make sure that you watch that tutorial. It's going to be very, very crucial. Now, second common mistake is our leg positioning in the fold over. Now, what I mean by the leg positioning is that I actually see quite a fair bit of people with their legs at an angle, kind of like facing up. So you want to make sure that instead of your legs at an angle, that your legs are horizontal to the floor. Now, in order to do that, you probably might want to grab a mirror so that you know that your body is horizontal to the floor. And that's also going to help you with a lot of that grip point when you get into the full fold over. So once you come into your leg hang, just ensure that this leg isn't turning up, because that means that you're not going to get much grip through the thighs. You want to drop it down, and again, remember, if it helps, use your outside hand, grab your leg, so my thumb is facing down to the floor, and pull that across, and ensure that leg is horizontal to the floor. Now, since I'm here, I'm just gonna keep going through the next portion of it. The next portion is the chest opening here. Now, because I know it's a little bit scary, I see a lot of people starting to sort of like hunch their back because they want to like drive their leg down. Remember to really open through your chest, push your chest forward, and then really think about pressing that armpit into the pole, and that's going to help you with a lot of the grip. Now, when you're bringing that outside leg down to the floor, make sure that when you extend that leg, that you're not bringing that leg away. Once I extend that leg, I'm actually pressing the back of the thigh onto the pole, and you can see that I'm almost able to hold that. Once you're pressing the back of the thigh onto the pole, then you're going to graze it down until that hits your inner thigh. So essentially the grip point is changing from your knee pit, then the back of the thigh, then you're going to slide that until your ankles are either crossed if you have a bit of a thigh gap, or you can just get your ankles together or slightly apart. Honestly, whatever helps you with the grip. All right, now let's go through the exit. Now, in terms of exit, you're obviously going to hook that leg back. When you're hooking that leg back, make sure that your leg isn't coming off. You're grazing the back of the thigh onto the pole, then squeeze, then you're going to come back into your outside leg hang. Woo, I was upside down for quite a fair bit there. Life upside down is so much fun, isn't it? I could just be there forever. Now, the other thing when it comes to the fold over is that you can either, I guess, look down to the floor, so lean backwards, head back, or you can look over your shoulder. This is really up to you, and I guess whatever makes you feel comfortable and what shape you like. I'll just show you the difference so that you can kind of see which one you may potentially like. So I'm gonna come into my leg hang. I'm grabbing the leg, I'm pulling that across. You can lean back, look down to the floor, or you can look to the side. And you can see that they both look quite nice. I'm taking my hands off and then down. Cool. So explore with your different head positioning as well, because you can see that just turning your head, that actually makes quite a fair bit of a difference in the aesthetic of the pike. Now, let's go through our hand movement, because this is another crucial part of the fold over, especially because when you're freeing both of your hands, you don't want to create sort of like a rigid fingertips when you're in that position. So what I like to usually call it is your fox hands. So you're sandwiching your middle finger, ring finger, and your thumb very gently together, and then you're pointing your index finger and your pinky slightly up. My index finger is a little bit higher than my pinky, and that's going to create more of a beautiful hands rather than sort of rigid fingers, what I like to call them traffic controller hands or praying mantis hands. So it makes quite a fair bit of a difference. So instead of, you know, rigid, beautiful hands, think about gently creating tension through the wrist, not too much, just a little bit, and then that's going to really help you with making that very nice fold over. Perfect. Now, not to mention, obviously, you want to always point through your toes. I hope I don't really have to mention this. I mean, unless you're doing, I guess, a routine where you're intentionally flexing your feet, I think it'll be definitely nicer if you point through your ankles and point your toes. So make sure you're pointing your toes while you do your leg hangs and also your fold over as well. Now, lastly, let's talk about the inside leg that is pressing into the pole. Now, earlier we spoke about the leg being horizontal to the floor. We want to ensure that we're creating a tension between grabbing the leg and slightly twisting away from the pole. So let's say, for example, I'm grabbing my leg and I'm pulling this leg. I'm actually trying to create a little bit of tension and get even more of a grip through the shelf. For those that don't know what a shelf is, it's the squishiest part here, right in between your rib cage and your hip bone. Creating that tension and pressing and opening through your chest this way. So what I like to call it is like an upside down bodybuilder. So I'm grabbing my leg, I'm twisting away, and I'm almost creating this bodybuilder position. So by using the bodybuilder, you're gonna get that inside armpit really nice and squeezed onto the pole, and you're really getting that tension and the grip point through your shelf and your inner thigh. So just to show you that, once I bring this leg across, I'm pulling it, I'm twisting away. You don't have to twist too much, but make sure that you keep that shelf pole right in that shelf or in the pocket. Twist slightly away, and then you should feel a lot of the squeeze through your shelf and as the grip point. So remember that I did mention earlier that it's your inner thigh and the back of the arm, but also I almost forgot that it is your shelf as well. So make sure that you have a lot of grip through your shelf, and that is all your tips and common mistakes. So I have a little mindset tip for you today. And I firstly will just want to say thank you so much for those that have persevered through all the beginner poetry tutorial series, maybe even intermediate. I know some of these tricks are starting to get really tricky. It's not always going to be rainbows and butterflies like when you started learning in beginners. Sometimes the intermediate tricks, I find them a little bit easier than beginners because my arms aren't as strong. And this goes to my point that not every move that I have listed are going to be all of the moves that you're going to achieve. And that's totally fine. There's no rule as to you have to be able to do all these moves, as long as you're cherry picking the ones that you really like. I'll give you an example. I absolutely am scared of straight leg laybacks. Look, I just do them because I teach them, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I love them or I'm great at them. I understand the mechanics of it, but you know what? Totally fine. You don't have to love every move. Some moves are gonna be for you, some moves not. Remember that you can always just work at your own pace. Just enjoy your pole journey. It's just all about really having fun, having a good workout out of it, really gaining that confidence, because this is what pole gave me. It gave me the confidence to feel like I can do these things. My body can do this, and I'm so proud, and I respect my body so much more than I used to before. So I hope you're enjoying your journey as much as I am. Thank you so much for joining me in the Pike, Foldover or hip hold tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you in the very next tutorial. Bye! Compared to the wall. What's this? Horizontal. Yeah. Yeah.